Let us bow our heads. Thank you, Lord, for this beautiful June evening here in South Georgia and allowing all of us here to come together in the service of the city of Statesboro. Be with us this evening as we make decisions that affect our citizens not only in the short term, but for years and in many cases decades to come. Give us the wisdom to make the best decisions and the strength to make the right ones. In your name we pray. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move down to agenda item 3, which is recognition and public presentations. Altered it a little bit, moved agenda item A to B. And you inserted a proclamation recognizing Amateur Radio Week. Is there a representative? Frank? All right, you would come forward. Okay. And I will read the proclamation, and then we'll have you tell us a little bit about Amateur Radio Week. The proclamation reads, a proclamation by the Mayor and City Council of Statesboro, Georgia, Amateur Radio Week. Whereas amateur radio operators are celebrating over a century of the miracle of the human voice broadcast over the airwaves, and whereas amateur radio has continued to provide a bridge between peoples, societies, and countries by creating friendships and the sharing of ideas, and whereas amateur radio operators have also provided countless hours of community service, both in emergencies and to local organizations throughout these decades. And whereas these amateur radio services are provided by wholly uncompensated, and whereas the city also recognizes the services amateur radio's people have provided to our many emergency response organizations, including the local emergency management agency and American Red Cross. And whereas these same individuals have further demonstrated their value in public assistance by providing free radio communications for local parades, fun runs, walkathons, fairs, and other charitable public events. And whereas the city of Statesboro recognizes and appreciates the diligence of these hands who also serve as weather spotters in the Skyward program for the U.S. Government National Weather Bureau, and whereas the American Radio Relay League is the leading organization for amateur radio in the USA, and whereas the April Amateur Radio Field Day exercise will take place on June 22nd through the 23rd, 2019, and is a 24-hour emergency preparedness exercise and demonstration of radio amateur skills and readiness to provide self-supporting communications without further infrastructure being required. Now, therefore, I, Jonathan McCullough, Mayor of the City of Statesboro, hereby officially recognize and designate June 16th to the 23rd as Amateur Radio Week. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ham radio has a long tradition, as you said in the proclamation, of over 100 years of service to the United States as a whole and to the local communities. The people who engage in amateur radio come from all walks of life. I'm a former computer programmer. We have pastors. We have regular people as amateur radio operators. Anybody can earn an amateur radio license from the age of 9 to the age of 100. So it's a great service to be involved in. It's also a great hobby to be a part of. This Friday and Saturday and Sunday, we're going to be involved in the annual field day activities. This serves not only as an exercise in emergency preparedness and communication support, but it's also a showcase for amateur radio. The ARRL, the American Radio Relay League that you mentioned, treats field day as open house for ham radio throughout the United States. So we have provided at our field day site, which is the Bullitt County Horsemen Association Arena on Mill Creek Road. We'll be there Saturday from 2 o'clock until Sunday at 2 o'clock, operating continuously. And we will have a station set up whereby non-licensed individuals, because you must have a license actually to be a part of amateur radio, but not citizens band. Yeah. Right? And so you can come and make contacts and talk to people all across the United States. It's going to be a great deal of fun. It'll be warm, but it'll be fun. And we would like to invite all of you, everybody here is welcome to come attend and see something about what amateur radio is like. And we thank you, the Statesboro Amateur Radio Society and the Southeastern Amateur Radio Association. We thank you for this proclamation, for your recognition of ham radio in Bullock and the surrounding areas.
All right, thank you. All right. We definitely want to present you.
You know, I never introduced myself. I'm Mark Goff.
You know what? That is good to meet you, Mark. Frank, how you doing? Good. Okay, and there you go. And this is a proclamation on behalf of the city, and we really appreciate what you guys do for the community.
All right, thank you, sir.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
We're gonna get a picture with Adam. If I can get on
Oh,
that.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, yes.
Thank you. All right, thank you. All right, we'll move down to agenda item B, which is a presentation by Davenport Associates regarding the old registered TAD allocation district revenue bonds update.
Mayor, if I may, I believe that. Mayor, that one will be the way.
Okay.
That should be
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move down to agenda item 4, which is public comments. Ms. Sue, do we have anyone signed up for public comments?
Yes, sir.
All right, we move down to agenda item 5, which is a consideration of a motion to approve the consent agenda. Approval of minutes for our June 4th council meeting and our June 4th executive session. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Agenda items 6, 7, and 8 are public hearings, and that's our real consideration of a motion. Is there a motion to open up the public hearing for agenda items 6, 7, and 8? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Cindy?
Cindy West, Finance Director. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you are the 3 contracts that we submit annually for the Acre Center for the Arts, the Downtown Statesboro Development Authority, and the Statesboro Convention Visitors Bureau for their portion of the hotel motel excise tax, and the percentages are the same as they were last year.
Thank you, Cindy. All right. Is anyone here speak for or against? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to close?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, is there any discussion by council? Seeing that there's no discussion by council, we'll approve these individually. Is there a motion to approve agenda item 6?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, is there a motion to approve agenda item 7?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to approve agenda item 8?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let it show that agenda items 6, 7, and 8 has passed. We'll move down to agenda item 9, which is the public hearing and consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2019-20, a resolution exempting certain vehicles from market requirements for 1 year as required by OCG 836-80-20. Is there a motion to open the public hearing? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Jason, if you will.
Yes, sir. This is an annual item that's brought before you. It's required by state law. We need to exempt vehicles, in this case, that are receiving a vehicle allowance of the city manager, or the city manager, or public utilities. These are the only vehicles on this last week. This is an annual item that we need for.
Okay, thank you, Jason. All right, is there anyone here to speak for or against? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to close the hearing?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, is there any council discussion? Seeing that there isn't any, is there a motion to, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let it show that agenda item number 9 is passed. We'll move down to agenda item 10, which is a public hearing, consideration of a motion to approve application CUV 19-05-01, Half Moon Recovery doing business as art. Request a conditional use variance from Article 7, Section 701, F1, 4.38 acres of property located at 207 Broad Street to utilize 100% of the heated floor space of the property as an addiction recovery community residence in the R4 zoning district. Is there a motion to open the public hearing? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, seeing that Frank's not here, I guess we're calling on over.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor, Council. I have the privilege of filling in for Frank this evening. We only have one planning case. That is CUV 19-05-01. It's located at 207 Broad Street. This is a request for a conditional use variance from Article 7 of the Statesboro zoning ordinance for 0.38 acres of property located at 207 Broad Street to utilize the property as an addiction recovery community residence. The applicant is Half Moon Recovery, doing business as art. The owners are Pamela P. Childs Family Trust. It's located on 0.38 acres of land, and it's in Councilman Jones District. The applicant is requesting a conditional use variance to utilize 207 Broad Street as an addiction recovery community residence of 10 adults. The subject site is currently zoned R4, high density residential. The Statesboro zoning ordinance does not address or define group homes, personal care homes, or recovery residences, or designate an appropriate zoning district for such uses. In addition, Article 7 of the Statesboro zoning ordinance states that a home occupation carried on within the dwelling shall be restricted to heated floor space of the dwelling and shall not occupy in excess of 25% of the heated floor space within the structure. The applicant is requesting that 100% of the structure's heated floor space be utilized for this home occupation. A little bit of background, this business was previously operating at this location from 2014 to 2018. However, the business ceased operations last year and has exceeded the 12-month grandfather clause. Therefore, a conditional use variance will be required to resume the operation of a recovery residence business at this location. So if you will now turn your attention to the monitors, got a couple of location maps and some pictures. Here's the subject site, the property in question, 207 Broad Street. And some pictures of the surrounding neighborhood. The top left-hand corner is going to be the subject property itself. And then the majority of the surrounding properties are single-family residential, and they have lots of medium density, kind of a mixture of single-family and medium density residential on the rear side of that property too. Staff has reviewed this application, and Planning Commission has reviewed it as well. They voted 5-0 to approve application CUV 1905 with the following staff conditions. The applicant must not exceed reasonable standards for parking and avoid excessive parking at the location. The applicant may not install signage at the location, and the applicant will be required to coordinate with the City of Statesboro Fire Department to ensure life safety standards meet current code requirements. And I believe that the applicant is here. You have
All right, so anyone here to speak for? Todd, good morning.
Sure. I'm for it, right? I'm Todd Parrish. I'm owner and director. We do business as arts. It's just really a corporate. We just reorganized. I took a year off for personal reasons, and we're going to do business as we always did. We've never had any issues with the city, fire department, Statesboro Police Department. We've always ran a really good operation. We generally bring about $250,000 to $500,000 a year of revenue into the city. It's good. It's a good program. I'd be glad to answer any questions y'all might have about it. We're doing the same thing we always did with it, just need a variance to run. We've always run by code.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone here to speak against? Seeing that there is not, is there a motion to close? Is there a second? All right, is there any council discussion?
Question for Mr. Harris, right?
Yes, sir.
Then you might have stated, from the time of 2014 to 2018, was there any incidents at that point?
No, it's done.
All right, Councilman D.
I just want to make sure it's closing.
Okay. You good? Need the motion? All those in favor of closing?
Aye.
Okay. All those opposed? Okay. All right. Thank you, Councilman. All right. Any further discussion by council? Seeing that there's none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, is there, moving down to agenda item 11, consideration of a motion to direct the city attorney to draft an ordinance to amend Article 21 of the Statesboro zoning ordinance, non-conforming uses. Oh,
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. During the Georgia Association of Zoning Administrators Conference earlier this year, attorneys in our real estate practice area bring their expertise, insight, and suggestions to a multi-day conference for the benefit of improving the city's zoning ordinance and to help us make better land use decisions through the kind of wisdom that they bring to the table in this conference. One of the suggestions that we received was an amendment, an update to our current non-conforming uses ordinance based on some conference information and presentation given by Frankie Jenkins, he's attorney with Jenkins, Bowen, and Walker that specializes in land use and zoning law. And then also another GMA city's non-conforming use ordinance we're kind of using as a template. This city's ordinance was recently upheld in a Georgia Supreme Court case in 2017. And I anticipate that the draft of the ordinance amendment will go before council probably the second reading at our regularly scheduled council meeting next month.
is there any discussion by council? All right, seeing that there's none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's show that agenda item 11 is passed. We move down to agenda item 12, which is the consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2019-21, a resolution authorizing the waiver of any payment in lieu of taxes by the Statesboro Housing Authority to the city of Statesboro for 2018 tax year in the amount of $23,001.25.
Mayor, this is an annual request that comes to us from the Statesboro Housing Authority. I'm not sure it's present tonight, but typically this is an item that is often approved from the Mayor Council.
Is there any discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let us show that agenda item 12 is passed. We'll move down to agenda item 13, which is consideration of a motion to award the purchase of these vehicles as follows, as the listed dealerships have offered the lowest responsive bids for these vehicles. A heavy-duty F-350, Ford F-150, a Ford Expedition SSV, and a unit F-150 pickup from J.C. Lewis Ford, L.C. West Ford, and Fred Ford, respectively. Yeah.
Yes, sir. The bid you see before here for lowest responsive bids. I will tell you a little bit about the process. We gave a little bit more time to respond to bids because of special specifications and whatnot on the vehicles. What happened after the bids were open, Ford notified us via a memo that the V8 engines would be severely delayed up to 30 weeks. So what we did, and we got to order these by the first part of July to qualify for 2019. So Ford issues a $546 upgrade that just affected the F1 vehicles. That's what we did. It doesn't change the order finish, but the numerical amounts you see here are reflected with an additional $546 to upgrade the V8s to V6 Eco engine. That brings the total here to the lowest responsive bid. Like I said, the orders do not change. So the purchase is recommended.
Is there any discussion by council?
I think you're shipping to us with the wrong engines and then replace them, or they're gonna do that?
No, the V6, each over the 3.5 liters, the 2.7 and 3.5, we'll be getting the 3.5 because it meets or exceeds the V8. They'll come from the factory a lot quicker, usually 45 to 60 day delivery instead of 25 to 30 weeks. And Ford cut production of the V8 is real unstable as you, if and when they'll extend that or whatnot, so that's why we're on the V6.
Is there a motion? All those in favor? All right, let's show that agenda item 13 is passed. We'll move down to agenda item 14, which is consideration of a motion to authorize the purchase of 5 portable police radios for a total price of $20,885. Chief Barber.
Thank you, Your Honor. Council, because we're above the city's spending limit of $20,000 needs council approval. 5 police radios, these were properly bid through the overall radio project bid process.
Thank you, Chief. Is there any discussion by council? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, let's show that agenda item 14 is passed. We move down to agenda item 15, which is consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2019-22, a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign and submit Form 5 to the Georgia Department of Community Affairs for an extension of the current Bullock County SDS through October 31st, 2019, in order to facilitate further negotiations. Okay.
Mayor and Council, this resolution is in order so that we can do the 4-month extension on the service delivery strategies negotiations with the county and other affected municipalities within Bullock County. The current service delivery strategy expires on June 30th, 2019, and we would need to have Form 5 signed by Mayor and Council, or approved by Mayor and Council, and would also need the county and other affected municipalities to do that in turn. So this is for the day, so we cover our side of the street, if you also choose. This would be a deadline through the end of October of 19 to facilitate further negotiations during that extension time. If the county and other affected municipalities signed off, it would keep any sanctions imposed by the state as far as grant applications and grant disbursements from being delayed.
Thank you, Ken. Is there any discussion by council?
Mr. Mayor, I have an extensive statement. I spent a lot of time on this issue, and I have something I'd like to give everyone a copy of this, and I beg your pardon, I'm going to give it to you about that. That is the form that the county sent to us to sign and agree to the service delivery strategy. King, would you read, please, what you and I spoke about the current Georgia law about revising that strategy if we accept?
So typically the way service delivery strategies work is that for a 10-year period, there's a 5-year revision in the middle, and there are also certain ways of amending it, either not that 5-year benchmark or at the conclusion of 10 years, and that's set out in SCGA 36/70/28, and it says that each county and affected municipality shall review and revise if necessary the improved strategy. 1, in conjunction with updates of the comprehensive plan as required by Article 1 of this chapter. 2, whenever necessary to change service delivery or revenue distribution arrangements. 3, whenever necessary due to changes in revenue distribution arrangements. 4, in the event of the creation, abolition, or consolidation of local governments. 5, when the existing service strategy delivery agreement expires, which is the case here. Or 6, whenever the county and affected municipalities agree to revise the strategy.
Thank you. And Mr. Mayor, we were all a little bit surprised last session when our consultant arrived on the scene. Several of us, including myself, did not know he was even being retained by the city. And he presented some things that were general in nature that he's part of the Georgia Municipal Association push to advise cities about service agreement delivery strategy positions to make sure that it was fair and equitable. While he presented some ratios and possibly some things that needed adjustment, after we had that meeting with him in executive session and voted, I now feel I voted in error to retain lawyers, to mediate and get an extension, because I would like to sign the current agreement and that has to be done by the mayor, and accept that service delivery strategy and move ahead. The city of Metter and the county of Candler have been in a high-profile dispute hiring attorneys, and there is an attorney firm that specializes for all the cities in the state of Georgia. There's an attorney firm that specializes with all the counties, and all these attorneys are making a lot of money over these disputes when we're elected officials who can certainly address one another as provided in what Kane just read. If we discover with our new city manager reporting the 1st of July, and staff and ourselves, that there are inequities in the service delivery strategy, there's a mechanism for adjusting without doing this Metter did and spending over $300,000 of the taxpayers' city money on attorney fees, and their council members expressing to me extreme dissatisfaction with the personal effect that battle cost and friendships and working together, and the amount of toll it took on the citizens for that amount of money without accomplishing anything that they can feel like they did the right thing for. The county spent well over $100,000. Bryan County, Liberty County, all the counties are being approached by the same consultant, and we have these things. I do not want to have that happen here. I do not want to be a part of retaining attorneys to come in and do our work for us of discovering what may or may not be in the service delivery strategy fair and equitable. We can retain the consultant we had, he can guide us, but I would like to move ahead. So with that in mind, I am against this resolution because I want to present another resolution. Well, actually, it's to sign what we're doing. I've been in touch with Kane as how to do that procedurally wise in this session. Kane, can you give me some guidance to all of us how we would do that now?
Mayor and council, our meetings are handled by standards, Roberts, or Robert's rules of evidence, so it would be the same motion presentation that we always do, where one person brings a motion, another seconds it, and then the vote of the full legislative body, the majority would dictate whether the motion passes.
So, but I have to do that after we deal with this motion here, is that correct? I cannot make the motion now, is that correct?
I don't.
You can make the motion. Now, there's no motion on the floor right now, we're just in discussion.
Okay.
So post discussion, if there's a motion that you
I would like to make a motion that we authorize the mayor to sign the service delivery strategy as it exists and has been presented by the county to us.
I'm going to refuse that motion, only until we finish discussion. And then once we finish discussion, then we'll bring that motion back, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Is there any further discussion by council?
I just have a question for Darren, or Councilman Duke. Can you tell me when you received an official copy of this service delivery agreement from the county?
The same time you did, I don't remember
Today?
I don't remember the exact date.
Today is the first time I've seen an official document because of you. I've not received a single email from Cobb County. Now, we did have a consultant who we hired to look at this, but this is the first official time I've received a copy of this from the county. Mayor, I believe you may have been contacted a couple of 3 weeks ago, I'm not sure, but this is the first official communication I've received. And this is a 45-page document and a 10-year agreement. And I'm not suggesting we don't cooperate, I suggest we do, but I think we need to have an extension, just so we can sit down and talk about the few issues that our consultant has brought up. And I don't think an extension is saying we're not going to cooperate. As a matter of fact, I think an extension says, hey, we want to sit down at a table, have a discussion, and sign this when we feel comfortable. I'm not comfortable signing anything that I've just now seen. Officially, just now seen.
Our city manager that was supposed to be on top of this is no longer with us.
I understand.
And I'd like to, if I might come back up, I'd like to ask our current acting city manager to advise us on when he was aware of the service delivery strategy.
Kane and Frank and myself, have been working with former city manager Ray Gilmore.
I'm sorry, speak up.
So Kane, Frank, and myself worked with city manager Ray Gilmore for the last several months in going over with the consultant service delivery details.
That you were delivered by the county. Yes, I was trying to find the date that you were aware of the county delivery service delivery strategy to the city.
I don't know that, I'm not familiar with those details. Randy was handling all that, so.
Kane,
I've seen that
you know,
recently, last
with,
week.
approximately, I mean, we don't have.
If I cannot be bound by this, my recollection is that it was sometime in the middle of May when Mr. Wetmore got correspondence from Mr. Couch with the completed SDS arrangement with the directive to present it as signed to council. In response to that, Mr. Wetmore asked for an extension, which was denied, and then later requests for extensions were denied as well. But it's from my recollection, it was in the middle of May, or maybe in the middle of April, it's middle earlier than that, is when Mr. Wetmore got the actual service delivery strategy paperwork, that big packet that I believe y'all were handed prior to the meeting.
Yeah, and that's my only concern, Councilman Duke, is that we're, as a council, this document having just recently been delivered. You heard even King said maybe middle of May. Jason hasn't seen it. We're transitioning with our city manager. I don't think asking for a 4-month extension to look over a multi-million-dollar agreement that covers over a decade. I think we owe it to our citizens to take the due diligence and look through the document and to have our consultants go through it. We don't have to get into the battle if we can sit down, but I mean, refusing to mediate or give us an extension does not seem very collaborative and cooperative.
Well, Phil, what I'm trying to, Councilman Boyd, what I'm trying to avoid is the high cost of attorneys that apparently we have been advised we're going to have to engage to do this. I would rather this, there's no indication this is not in keeping with the service delivery strategies we've had for 20 years. And I'd like to ask Jason, have you had any indication there's any major change in there that would allow, that cause us great consternation?
I haven't looked over all the details, but an email from County Manager Couch, he's indicated that nothing substantive has changed.
Well, I got that email. He emailed me even today about that, and that's what I'm talking about, and that's the reason I brought up this thing about revising. But, I mean, we've all probably heard the public statements of the chairman of the county commission that we will not sign that, we will not agree to it. And then our only thing is to contest it in court and get it in a court battle and go to mitigation and all those other issues. I simply don't want to do that. And I hear what you're saying, but I don't want to do that. I don't think it's warranted in this case. I think we're serving the taxpayers better by accepting it and going through the process now. We have been in max overload over here at City Hall due to the city manager change over in the Blue Mile and the TADs at Old Richard Road. And I don't know, I can't speak for the county, but I would really like to move ahead in good faith with the county. I have almost every commissioner's personal word that they will do this with us and work with us if there's something that needs to be adjusted because it's unfair, unreasonable, or we're not getting our fair share. I can't say it any plainer.
I'll take this opportunity. And Statesboro, this is just a position of the mayor. This is no way indicative of what any council member, but this is the position of the mayor. After speaking to the consultant that was brought in to review the service delivery document, what was brought to our attention is that there may be anywhere between $500,000 to $1 million per year in variance as far as service delivery is concerned. If you multiply that out through the extension of this entire contract, we're looking at about $5 to $10 million. And to be quite candid with you, Statesboro, when we're talking about those kind of numbers, I think that the cost of bringing in experts that's going to know the right questions to ask in this particular situation is the right thing to do. I do not believe that there is anyone that would sign any contract and want to work out the variances in the contract after they have signed it. I think that is, I think that's a reasonable request to get an extension so that we can work through these issues. And once we work through them, then sign a contract that's both equitable and going to work towards to creating a high quality of life for everybody that's inside of the city and outside of the city as well. That is the position of the mayor. And I do want to add that by signing the extension, it does prevent any sanctions that we would be in jeopardy of being held against us. So I would hope that the county would consider the fact that we do have legitimate concerns and give us the opportunity to create a window where we can have candid conversation and work through these differences in a manner that doesn't jeopardize anything that the city nor the county has on its table.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. That was exactly well spoken because Mr. Brown did do that. He is the former city manager from Savannah. But he gets paid and makes a living now doing these assessments. He made those statements there. I just didn't see whether that amount of money was anything he presented. There were no issues. It was just thrown out there that there's that amount of money. I did not see that. And I tried to ask everyone, where's the deal? Show me what the issues are. And I haven't been able to find one, and nobody's told me one.
I'm sorry, have you read Mr. Brown's document? Yes. They outline them pretty clearly. There's 5 documents pretty clearly outlined. And
Well,
frankly, the $500,000 to $1 million could be a low estimate.
To what then?
$500,000 to $1 million a year annually could be a low estimate.
Well, Phil, you're pretty well studied. Why don't you bring some out for this discussion? I think it's important you do that right now. What do you, I mean?
Well, I think what's important here is that we were just officially handed this document. It's a 10-year agreement. There's no harm in us asking for an extension. We don't have to sue. We don't have to fight. But it is, in my personal opinion, and as a representative of the district, it is in our best interest and in the best interest of our citizens for us to take our time on a 10-year document. That doesn't necessarily mean we have to fight. That doesn't necessarily mean we have to throw down. But I think asking for an extension, considering the turmoil we've had at the city manager level and all the other things we've had going on, maybe this just didn't get the attention it needs. What's wrong with asking for 4 months to the county, say, hey, we don't need to sue, but we do want a little time to review this. I think that's a completely reasonable request of the county. And for them to refuse shows who's really collaborative and who's not.
I think one thing that we have to be mindful of, the document that we're talking about, Statesboro, is 20 years old. And 1999 Statesboro is very much different than 2019 Statesboro. And so the fact that we've had the same document in place for 20 years, and we've seen so much growth, so much change within our community. That alone says that we need to review this document and make sure that it's the right thing for 2019 Statesboro all the way through 2029 Statesboro. And so I think that's got to be key when we're making this decision. And this is not a bad thing. And I think that some things have been sensationalized, because I don't think there's not anything wrong with asking for an extension to further discussion. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, look, this document has been in place for 20 years, let us review it. And I think some things have been sensationalized, because at the end of the day, I respect every commissioner that's up there, former teacher right there. So I think that the personalization of it has really blown this out of proportion. I think that we are at a point where we can have good civil conversation between the two entities, and I think we can come back with a productive document that's good for everyone. But the fact that this document has been in place for 20 years, that I think this is ample time for us to review it and get a good understanding and a good grasp of what this document needs to look like moving forward.
I'd like to amend the resolution.
Okay.
I'd like to propose that if we adopt the resolution, we spend no money on lawyers. Zero. We have a city attorney. We have staff. We proceed on, no outside counsel.
Is that your motion?
That's an amendment to the motion, that's correct. If we pass that motion goes forward without any ability to hire a law firm.
Okay. All right. Is there a second to Councilman Duke's motion?
If you say that, if that restricts us from hiring a lawyer to the fine print, if we say we're not going to hire one, does that mean county? If county doesn't say that they're not going to hire one, they can. If they don't say that they don't state that they will not hire one, then they can hire one. I'd like to have a lawyer, but if they're going to put one on us, which I hope none of the cats. Poor Kane, I see him over there. He's already working midnight oil.
Mayor. And just as a point of information, the council is in order. After the first motion, there is room for discussion.
I personally don't want us to commit to that. I don't think that's fair to us. I hope we avoid it. I believe we can, with great confidence, avoid it, as you stated. But I don't think that's fair to our city attorney. I think he would say that, his experience is probably would need somebody of greater experience. You're shaking your head yes, so I'll go ahead and say it.
Well, Jeff, my only concern is I don't want to run up a $300,000 bill for the citizens of Statesboro. Let me be very clear. The people in the city were at the county commissioners meeting this morning. They're upset about taxes. That had to be about school taxes. But we've just had an approximate 13% appraisal adjustment for all property in the county. That wave of resistance is coming. And for us to do something like this, to give a blank check, so to speak, to attorneys, is really what we're going to do with this resolution. Now, Michael Brown has been to almost every city in the state with the same thing. Phil is right. I wish it were different. I would like to go that way, but the mayor's right too. This is the same service delivery strategy we've had. And yes, if we need to tweak it, well, let's do so, but I think there's a way to do that to avoid the attorney cost and the confusion. Because with the current law, we can do that legally.
If I may, there, we've already hired the attorney. We've made that decision. This is about signing these things or not. And I think that's what we need to focus on in this particular discussion. And I didn't mean to jump in on.
No.
And Phil, I made a resolution that we don't spend more money on the attorneys. I know we hired an attorney last time because we were under the impression we would need one to do this. And I made my opening statement, I've reversed course because I think that was the wrong thing to do.
So, I agree with what you're saying. I'm not suggesting that we use the attorneys in mediation. I'm suggesting, well, let me say this. I hate to use the word agonize, because that's a strong word, but I really have over this thing. And I agree with what you're saying when you and I discussed it. I agree with what you're saying, I agree with what you're saying. But I've come to the place that, that says where we are now, I am of the belief that having spoken to, unfortunately not you, Commissioner Gibson, but many of the others, that they are willing to work with us on any inequities we find or we become comfortable presenting to. Now, I have looked at the document. I probably don't know it as well as you do. And there are some possible inequities. Possible. But we're not certain that they are definite for us, right? And the money's possible too. We're not confident. And I just don't, at this point, feel comfortable, to your point, in spending those legal fees when I do believe, I trust those county commissioners that I have spoken to, that we can work on anything necessary. I just don't think. No, I hear you. I understand.
So how is that collaborative? They say they want to collaborate, yet they won't sign an extension, which that's all we're asking. We're not asking to get into a legal battle, we're just saying, give us a little bit more time to look over a very complex document.
Right, and I understand.
And maybe in 4 months we decide.
But we didn't present to them that we had any issues with the current one, although you say that it was just presented to us late, and I respect that and understand that. But I also believe that had we had any issues, having worked with our consultants some time now, and I understand that a lot has to do with the transitional city manager, so no disrespect to his staff either, but I just believe that we could have done our part presenting to them anything that concerned us, because we knew that they were going to present the same point too.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to withdraw my motion to restrict the attorney's fees. It would just not cloud the issue about this resolution, which I am against, because I do want to have the signed agreement. So I'll withdraw the motion.
You might ask any question. What is, explain Form 8 to us, or Form 4, excuse me.
The one,
Yeah, the one that Derek.
right, that's the one that was sent to us by the county. Everyone else in the county, all the other municipalities, the county signed it. The mayor, on behalf of the city, all he needs to do is sign that form, and the service delivery schedule, am I right on this game, will proceed in effect 30 June. Is that correct?
July 1st. So I think what Councilman Boyd was asking is what the actual signature means on the document. Is that what you were asking, certification?
Well, it says, for example, number 4, our service delivery strategy ensures that the cost of any services the county provides is primarily for the benefit of the unincorporated area and borne by the unincorporated residents, individuals, property owners. Our own consultant who did an analysis, that's the conflict right there in about 5 or 6 different areas. And so, I mean, unless you're confident in that, I mean, we should be signing. So, I mean, I'm not confident in signing because I'm not confident in number 4. Nor am I confident in all of number 4 because, again, we haven't had time to review the document. All we want is an extension there. I don't think that's unreasonable.
And what I'm trying to say is I don't think we're going to get one without a legal battle. It's going to be very expensive. And I think, given the statement of all the commissioners and the law, that we can revise it if and when we identify those issues that the consultant says exist, yet we're all going like this. Phil, I agree, but I want to proceed orderly without the expense and confusion. And let's sign it, and we got a new city manager coming in that's highly experienced. Let's retain him and whoever and move on. We've got a lot going on, and I think it's in everybody's best interest not to cloud this at this time, because we have good intentions from all sides. I hate to spend $300,000 and attorneys.
Now, come on, that's an exaggeration. No one has spent $300,000 on it. Let's not get, come on, somebody else back me up here. 300, when nobody's spending 300, nobody wrote a $300,000 check for anything. Come on.
I have no idea what they spent. I'm just curious, how much did you pay the lawyer since last fall?
You're talking the consultant.
Right, the consultant. In the fall? Do you know how much was spent on it?
Just under 20.
Gotcha. The problem that I have is that, we should have been negotiating this a year ago. We've been, city manager, but looking at it from the county point of view, it looks like, we're pulling out at the very last minute, and, trying some scare tactics or something, or intimidation, we're gonna bring our lawyers in, and we're not, that's not the way I feel.
No, I don't think anybody is feeling that way, and I've talked to, Councilman Ward, I told him that there's no malice, that's associated with this. You know, at this point right now, we have 12 days before this month is over with. And I personally, from the 21st until the 25th, all of us are gonna be at GMA, that's not gonna be at another predetermined area. So that gives us getting back on the 25th and having a total of 5 days to work out an agreement that needs to be done on the 30th. I just don't see logistically how that is possible. And then again, I'll repeat, I am uncomfortable signing a document on behalf of the city that we have concerns with. And then going back to the city residents and saying, yes, we've committed to this $5 to $10 million 10-year document, but we're going to fix it after we sign it. I'm just uncomfortable doing that.
Mr. Mayor, I don't think fix it is adjusted. We don't know this broke, first of all.
And
I
that's
want to ask the
probably-
current city manager, we have a call meeting this Thursday with the attorneys coming in. Is that correct? Is that the purpose of the meeting, for the attorneys that are already hired? Are they coming in, King, Thursday morning for that call meeting I just got?
Yeah.
How much are we paying them to be here?
The fee schedule has their hourly rates on it.
Okay, I don't know.
I believe Mr. Welch is $350.
$350 an hour. And then that's going to include travel time and appearance here and all that. Mr. Wells has invited me to a big cocktail party dinner, and he's throwing at his expense for all the cities that he's representing, and he represents all the cities. Mr. Mayor, I just don't like this. I'm going to tell you, on behalf of the taxpayers in District 5, a lot of businesses have spoken to me. They don't want this. They want us to move ahead. We're all elected officials. We're all in the same county of Bullock, and we're doing something we've been doing for 20 years. If we need to be a little better at our jobs and find out specifically what these areas are, let's do so. But I just do not want, and I don't want to be pinned against the wall that we're signing something that makes us be not in good faith with the body of people that have elected us. I just don't agree with that at all. So, again, that's my statement about this, that I'm going to stop this process now by having the resolution, by having the document signed. But again, the resolution is on the floor to authorize you to do something else. I don't want to do
Okay. All right, do we have a second to Councilman Duke's amended?
I withdrew that. I withdrew that about the
The attorney.
attorney.
Yeah, that's why I said amended. Do we have a second to?
I'm sorry, the motion on the floor is what?
I withdrew my motion.
Oh, so there's no.
So you withdrew the entire?
Right, the whole thing. I don't know how to proceed here. I've asked that.
I'll make
Okay,
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2019-21, I'm sorry, 22, excuse me. A resolution authorizing the mayor to sign Form 5, requesting an extension from Bullock County. That is it. All we're asking for is an extension.
All right, is there a second? All right, right, seeing that there is no second. All right, seeing that there is no second to Councilman Boyle's resolution, there's no second to Councilman Duke. Do you want to?
I would like to make a resolution that the council authorize the mayor to
You want to
sign.
make another motion?
A motion. A motion that we authorize you to sign the service delivery strategy as is. That is my motion.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, all those opposed?
Nay.
All those who abstain?
I vote aye.
Who's that? Aye? Okay. All right. So we'll move down to agenda item 16. Consideration of a motion to approve an amendment to the development agreement between the city and BBT Akins LP and J. Edward Akins Farms LP, clarifying and altering conveyance of real property containing public infrastructure of the city upon city payment to developer from the TAD and special fund. Okay.
Mayor, Council, just a little background on this. This is in relationship to a secured loan, basically a mortgage that the developer is taking. It's trying to close on tomorrow or sometime this week with this Hill Properties. And this amendment to the development agreement, it actually just sets out better about the conveyance of the right-of-way upon disbursement from the special fund. And it just clarifies that when the first disbursement comes out, which is about $2 to $3.8 million, that the right-of-way to the Tormental Way would be conveyed to the city. And then when the second conveyance is made, or the second disbursement is made, the fee simple title to the old register and the expansion right-of-way would come over to the city. It just changes the development agreement just a little bit, because previously it said that I believe all the right-of-ways came over with the first payment, and there's still mechanisms in place for if anything, if there is any sort of default, that we would be able to recover the public infrastructure and the right-of-ways. And also this also simplifies things a little bit, because the way it was before is if there was a mortgage on this property, there would be a good chance of, unless we insured it right before the bond, unless we did a land record search, we might be taking the conveyance subject to that mortgage. But in this case, that would not be a factor, because the mortgagor would actually be who the development agreement is being assigned to.
Is there any discussion by council? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move down to agenda item 17, which is consideration of motion to accept the assignment of rights and duties of BBT Akins LP and J. Edward Akins Farms LP regarding the pre-existing development agreement between city and developer to Hill Property Partners. Okay.
This is piggybacks off of the previous one. First, the development agreement needs to be amended. This is a minor tweak. As another condition of the loan, what the lender is asking for is that the way it's written in the original development agreement would be that the developer at DBT and Akins Farms would receive the $2 to $3.8 million, would receive this payment. In this case, it would actually go directly to the lender, just additional security for them moving forward with closing on this loan with Mr. Van Tassel's company. And so what this would do is the funds would go directly to them, and also they would be payable directly to Hill. And we'd also grant Hill an additional 30 days to secure any default and agree to give Hill and developer a contemporaneous notice of any potential default, and that was requested by the lender. I do have one minor tweak that will need to be done on the signed document, and that's on page 1 of the consent agreement to the assignment and development agreement. And that would be just down here. It says on the one presented to you all that the city represents and warrants the Hill that CAD bond proceeds in the amount of at least $4 3/4 million will be deposited in the special fund. Just to clear up that there is a little bit of possible that not happening there, just a tiny, tiny bit, so we don't want that. We don't want to warrant that. It's kind of difficult to warrant something if it's not 100%. So it says now that the city represents and warrants bill that cat bond proceeds in the amount of at least $4.75 million are anticipated to be deposited into the special fund. That will be deposited and anticipated. It's really just a matter of wording, but the essence of this agreement would be the additional time to cure effects, and the notice provision to Hill, and also the payment directly to Hill instead of through the developer. And the one I have presented for signature with Ms. Starling, Mayor, does have that. Yes.
All right, is there any conversation by council? All right, is there a motion to approve line item 17 with the language adjustment for the city attorney?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right, we move down to agenda item 18, which is consideration of a motion to approve a memorandum of understanding between the city of Statesboro and the Creek District Oversight Committee regarding the development of the creek on the Blue Mile project. Okay.
Mayor and Council, this was requested by the Creek District Oversight Committee. This is just an MOU. Schedule 7 should be attached on here, but it's not. Schedule 7 is the part of the management contract that creates the Creek District Oversight Committee, and it says that we will, that their mandate is to make recommendations to the city regarding developments, zoning, and design standards and guidelines for the Creek District. And it's Schedule 7 approach states this advisory in nature only, provides one committee member to serve as public liaison to the city to maintain the consistency of communication between the committee and the city. So what this does is it further hashes out that consistency of communication, the mechanism to ensure it. And it states that the city shall use its best efforts to keep the committee informed regarding its plans, deliberations, and activities related to all aspects of the project. And the committee has designated fill in the blank as the city liaison, so they'll get to make that call as to who that will be. It's called board conference Schedule 7, and all information related to the project will be shared to that person in a timely manner with either entirely committee or at least with the liaison. And the committee may have data, recommendations, and suggestions that agrees to share with the city. And the city committee recognizes the sensitive nature of many aspects of these city deliberations and commits to non-disclosure of sensitive information, so advised and when it's proper. And the committee pledges to forward its comments and suggestions in a timely manner and not unduly delay the work in any manner. And also, back when we were going through all these, this question of what about this empty position on the committee that was basically being held for the Board of Education if they did decide to come on this pad and contribute their increment. So the last term of this MOU is that the city would have that, it would formalize the city appointment of that seventh committee member unless and until the board consents to their inclusion, taxing increment inclusion in the pad.
All right. Is there any further discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we move down to agenda item 18, which is the consideration of a motion to award a contract for commercial real estate broker services for the city of Statesboro to Manat Signature Properties for a period of time, period of 1 year with the option to renew for one additional year and to authorize the city manager and city attorney to negotiate the final terms and conditions of the contract. Jason.
Thank you, Mayor. City staff solicited requests for proposals to provide commercial real estate services for real estate acquisition and sale associated with the Creek on the Blue Mile project, as well as other potential projects for the next 1 to 2 years. The scope of services for this contract shall include, but is not limited to, performing market analysis, providing planning development director with routine activity reports, as well as scope and opinions on properties, marketing selected properties, negotiating with buyers and sellers, coordinating property appraisals, and processing of typical services normally associated with real estate transactions. So through the process, a total of 4 proposals were received, including Manat Signature Properties, Statesboro Properties, Berkshire, Pennsylvania, Remax, evaluation team consisting of city staff and members of the Creek District Oversight Committee evaluated and rated the proposal in accordance with the criteria and points associated with the RFP. Based on the information, the team rated the next signature properties the highest. So we recommend award and this to the next signature properties.
All right. Any discussion by council? Seeing that there isn't any, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let us show that agenda item 19 is passed. Move down to agenda item 20. This is consideration of a motion to authorize the city manager to enter into negotiations with Freeze and Nichols Incorporated for a contract to conduct the environmental feasibility study for the Creek on the Blue Mile project. This contract will be presented to city council for consideration of approval at a later date. Jay.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, city staff solicited a request for qualifications to perform environmental feasibility study. So the first phase for work on the Creek on the Blue Mile project. Scope of services for this contract shall include, but are not limited to, performing topographic survey, conducting water supply yield analysis, conducting water quality studies, conducting stream and wetland studies, conducting fish and wildlife studies, conducting cultural and historic studies, performing regulatory and permitting analysis and recommendations, providing cost estimates and timelines for final design and construction. A total of 4 proposals, very strong proposals I might add, were received from teams which each included multiple highly qualified professional firms within each submittal. Prime consultants who submitted for this project are Freeze and Nichols Incorporated, Goodwin Mills and Kaywood, Golder Associates, and Integrated Science and Engineering. An evaluation team consisting of city staff members and members of the Creek District Oversight Committee evaluated and rated the proposals in the evaluations, presentations rather, that they performed for us in accordance with the criteria and points provided in the RFQ. Based on this information, the team rated Freeze and Nichols Incorporated the highest, and staff is currently performing necessary experience and reference checks for Freeze and Nichols to proceed with the contract. In accordance with procedural protocol, I'm requesting approval to develop the final scope of services, negotiate fee schedule, and contract accordingly. I'm happy to take any questions you may have, and Freeze and Nichols is also here if you have any questions for them.
Is there any discussion by council?
Just anticipated contract.
Great question. I assume it's going to be probably in the $500 to $1 million range for this phase of work.
Any further?
Jason, would you have them come forward and introduce themselves, please?
Sure, Mr. Kelly, MRP, should I come forward? Council is still working on the final scope of services for that key proposal.
Good evening, my name is Kirby Parks. I work for Freeze and Nichols Engineering. Participated in the interviews and presentations last week. My role in the project will be from a principal in charge and quality control overview. I say my background is in dams and reservoirs, so a technical background. Let George Kelly introduce himself and answer the question.
Good afternoon. My name is George Kelly. I also work for Freeze and Nichols with that. And I have also participated in the development of this proposal, this SOQ, in response to this RFP. And my background technically is in structural engineering, geotechnical, and dams engineering. And I've been for 35 years.
And for the record, state where you're from, please, your office, just for the record.
Was out of Fort Worth, Texas.
And do you have a local office near here or in your house? For the record, thank you.
We're also partner, our team members include EMC, located here, as well as RLC, and a local cultural resources firm, Brockington, in the general.
Thank you. Your work is very important to us. Thank you very much.
Any further discussion by council? All right, seeing that there isn't any, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we move down to agenda item.
Thank you.
Number 21, which is consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2019-23, A resolution to adopt the third amendment to the fiscal year 2019 budget for each fund for the city of Statesboro, Georgia, appropriating the amount shown in each budget as expenditures and expenses, adopting the several items of revenue anticipations and prohibiting expenditure or excuse me, expenses from exceeding the actual funding appropriate.
Cindy West, Finance Director. Mayor and Council, this is the third and final amendment to the fiscal year 2019 budget. We will be giving fiscal year 2020 July 1st. I have reviewed all the funds and determined if and how much may be needed to move forward. So, we'll just open it up.
Thank you, Cindy. Is there any discussion by council?
You sure you don't need to take another week and go recheck your review?
Never know.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any other business by council? Seeing that there's none, is there, any city manager comment?
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, given that we had that resolution earlier to sign the SDS, does that, can we cancel the call meeting for Thursday? Because that was the agenda item, is that correct, Ms. Sue?
Well, let's discuss it, council. Do you think we need to cancel the meeting on Thursday? The call meeting on Thursday?
I don't think we need to cancel it, but I don't think it's necessary. We can skip it, just do it.
Well, I got the agenda is to hear attorneys, right?
Yeah, it's to hear, to hear the information that they reviewed, and we're gonna bring that reviewed information back to us.
And we already paid for that, and this is their report, is that, Jason? We already paid for that, and this is their report.
It's up to us at this point. I've already got it.
Well, what I'm saying is now we're gonna sign the SDS. What is the purpose of having them come to us? So we're paying their travel expenses and paying them to come, is that correct? Or we already paid all that?
Valid question. Any further work we proceed with them is going to result in additional costs. So, at this point, if we're signing the document as is, I don't think we'll need their services.
That's my point. Can we read that? Can we cancel that, Ken?
We could cancel it. If we're serious though about doing any sort of necessary further adjustments, I don't think that I don't see the harm in finding out what sort of adjustments would be proper. But that would be the only reason with this contract being approved today, or that's Form 4 being approved today, that this meeting would be necessary.
Could we have them later at a regular council meeting, and that we adjust that? We're going to see them in Savannah this weekend. They're going to be there.
I mean, that's y'all's decision, what y'all want to do.
That's what I prefer to do, because we've just made a decision. We've got time to go to this meeting where we're going to see a lot of people, talk about a lot of things. I prefer to put this off, Mr. Mayor, but I'm trying to suggest that we do.
If he's been working on it for 6 months, he can just send me a big pack of all.
That's correct, the attorney has been.
Whatever he's gonna present.
The attorney's been appointed for 2 weeks. We appointed special counsel on June 4th. The consultant is the one who, Mr. Wetmore contracted with sometime in September. So the law firm, they're separate.
What are they going to appraise us of Thursday?
Primarily how to proceed on the county's refusal to mediate or to consent to an extension.
Which is needed at this point. That's what I'm trying to say. I want to make a motion.
Yeah, they were gonna advise us on what to do next,
Yeah.
so we jumped the gun on that.
Let me say
I'm
this.
sorry.
I'm very concerned. Very concerned. And let me tell you the reason why.
You're concerned about what?
I'm about to tell you the reason why. Okay, by trade, you're a pilot. You're an appraiser. I'm in higher education. Higher education, insurance, and hospitality. Who up here has the expertise to go through the service delivery contract and tell us what is best for the city? Does anyone up here have the expertise to look at this agreement and say, you know what? I can make this decision without any consultation?
No.
That's what my concern is.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not suggesting we
Yeah.
not have them
Well-
back. I'm suggesting that we not do it at this time.
Well, I've made my statement. I'm very concerned about that. And I'm very concerned about the fact that we're concerned about lawyer fees, which are minute compared to the 5 to 10 million possible dollars that we're putting at risk for the city of Statesboro. I will go on record saying that I believe attorney fees is a small amount to secure what is best for the city of Statesboro. And any business owner that's in this community that's worth their salt, they will not sign a contract that they do not agree with and then say, well, we'll fix it after we sign it. No business owner would do that. You wouldn't do that. But that's what we're saying we're going to do for the city of Statesboro. I'm going to have to think real hard about whether I sign it or not, period. But this is serious. None of us would sign a contract that we disagreed with or had concerns about. None of us would do that. But now we're doing this for the people?
Mr. Mayor,
I've said what I said.
I disagree wholeheartedly because
Would
this
you
is.
sign a contract that you disagree with?
I'm
No,
not
you
gonna-
would
I'm
not.
not going to
No,
do
you
a
would not.
hypothetical abstract.
No, you would not.
Please hear me out.
I will.
Please hear me out. The county commissioners have collectively and individually told
The county-
us what they told us.
Mm-hmm.
I've told you that today. I've been personally assured by them that we would do that. Could be charged with dereliction of duty for this because we haven't done it in due course of time, and now we've got to ask for an extension. I disagree wholeheartedly with what you just said. I think we're doing the right thing. We're going to review it. But have an attorney here now to tell me we've got a consultant. I'd like to spend more money on another consultant to tell me specifically what we're talking about here. There are no issues of any substance on the table other than somebody threw out some money.
Councilman, with all due respect, Michael Brown did an excellent job of identifying the fact that we have discrepancies when it comes to roads, when it comes to the parks, and several other areas. This is all outlined in the documentation that has been presented to us. Now, I can't, it's all on us to go through this information.
Did not the chairman of the county commission call you or you called him and discuss this?
Now, see, you're going into hearsay. You're
Well,
going
I'm asking
into, here are the
question.
facts. The facts are the same information that I received as being up here on this council is the same information that every councilman up here has received. Okay? It is our responsibility to do our due diligence to review the information that the consultant has provided to us. That is our responsibility. And so at this point right now, what we're saying is that, okay, Statesboro, we're going to sign a contract where we have some red flags, where our consultant has showed us red flags, but we're going to sign it anyway with the good faith. And I'm quite sure each one of those men are honorable men that they're going to do what they say they do. But in the world of business, you don't sign a contract that you have concerns with and then attempt to fix it afterwards. You just don't do that. And so, but the decision is made. It's been a 4-1 vote. And then I'll sign it when I get around to it.
Thank you.
All right. Have any public comments? All right. Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Executive session.
We don't need, do we need executive session?
No, we're gonna still have a call meeting.
The call meeting?
Man, I don't think we should.
It's still going.
I don't think we
You
should.
called it,
Okay.
you called it, keep it going.
Yeah, well, now, I'm gonna go with the council. So we got what?
Jeff can't be here, is that correct, Jeff?
Jeff's not gonna be here?
I
Did you say no?
I won't be here.
You won't be here as well? All right, cancel it.
Thank you.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second?
Sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.